Hi, I'm Donald Osborne, CEO of the Audrain, and welcome backstage at the Audrain Automobile Museum. Today we're going to be taking a look at a sports car icon, the Austin Healey Sprite. And I'm with this 1961 Austin Healey Sprite Mark I, one of the last produced before they switched over to the Mark II. The Mark I was introduced in 1958 and was intended to be the British Motor Corporation's entry-level sports car. They'd had this great partnership with Donald Healey that had resulted in some of the most wonderful and iconic sports cars and successful race cars of the 1950s. Here they were taking the idea that many people used before the war and even after the war with their Austin 7s to make really sort of fun racing specials. They took the very humble mechanicals of the Austin 7 and the Morris Minor and used them in this wonderful sports car shell. Under 1 liter, 948 cc, putting out about 46.5 horsepower, it wasn't meant to power around, but these were incredibly capable racing cars in their time, and even today, people vintage race these cars quite a bit. This car is also something, of course, it's known as the Bug Eye Sprite here in the States and the Frog Eye in the UK, and you can see immediately why. These prominent headlights sitting up on top of the bonnet really give the character to the car, and with that grille, a sort of smiley face. It's the kind of car that makes everyone laugh and grin just when you see it, the kind of car that makes kids laugh. And it's probably one of the few examples of bean counters actually helping to give a car character. This car was supposed to have retractable headlights, similar to what was eventually used on the Lamborghini Miura, where they would fold down flat, lenses facing up, and then pivot to position for lighting for the road. The BMC accountant said that's far too expensive for this entry-level sports car, so they were just fixed in the bonnet the way we see them today, and it's given this car the incredible character that it has. Now, I suppose the last question is the Bug Eye Sprite as much fun to drive as it is to look at? Well, let's find out. We'll take it out for a spin. Driving an Austin Healey Sprite, any Austin Healey Sprite, particularly this one, is just a lot of fun. It just makes you smile. Not only the face of the car, which is very friendly and approachable, but just the fact that it just feels like an eager puppy. It wants to go. It's always saying, take me out, take me out, take me out. And even here at a stop sign, it just wants to say, come on guys, you can get this done. It's very funny to also drive a car like this that has very little power, but the power you have is instantly available. And, it's quite commonly known that it's a lot more fun to drive a slow car at 6/10 than a fast car at 2/10. And, the Healey is just one of those cars that just invites you to drive. It revs easily, and it also makes a great noise. It's sort of like a little person saying, "Here I am, listen to me, pay attention." And you get the sound as if you're driving sort of a miniature Jaguar or Aston Martin, but you're in this little under 1 liter Austin. It's the dress-up cousin of a Morris Minor. It's an astonishing thing and a tribute to British sports cars of all kinds, because the British are also great about making specials, taking ordinary small displacement family sedans, taking those mechanicals and turning them into something really special, a lot of fun. And this is the manufacturer's version of one of those specials. It's what all the lads did with their Austin 7s before World War II, and here the BMC factory is doing it for them. It's really a fun thing to experience. And one of the things that's so great about these cars, of course, is the fact that they were and are so incredibly tunable. These cars had a great success in racing when they were new. They won their class at Sebring. and other races around the United States and in Europe. The Monte Carlo Rally, very successful cars in things like that, where the small displacement wasn't certainly a hindrance, it's actually a great blessing. It's sort of not surprising that this particular Sprite drives the way it does, because it was restored by a very good friend of mine and a great sports car guy, Colin Comer in Wisconsin. He did it because his wife, Cana, who is, as he is, a brilliant vintage race car driver, has a bug-eye Sprite that she's raced quite successfully, and they thought it'd be really great to have a little road-going companion to Cana's car. And so they found this really original car and really refurbished it so well. It's got a lot of original components, but they gave it a great paint job. It's a nice solid body, and they kept this wonderful green color. And of course, the Sprite is known as the bug eye in the States, but in the UK it's known as the frog eye. So to have a green frog eye is sort of incredibly appropriate. And again, it's just sort of a part of the great charm of this car. It just makes you grin when you drive it, and that's a fantastic thing. And I think it's exactly what the makers of this car, the British Motor Corporation, had in mind when they created the Austin Healey Sprite. One of the things that makes driving this Sprite so much fun is the suspension, or the theoretical suspension that it has. You feel every bit of the road, not just through the wheel, but in the bottom of the seat as well. Potholes could be the Grand Canyon, but you just don't care. The car actually feels pretty solid, so it's not going to go anywhere. And this is really so close to what Donald Healey really intended in all of his products. And you feel Donald Healey and all of the work that he did and all of the racing successes in this little car. And again, it comes back to that perhaps not uniquely British ability to make something very special out of things which seem on the face of it very ordinary. Because the Italians did it as well, the French did it, the Germans did it to a certain extent. But when the British do it, it just seems so incredibly effortless, and that's what's really great. The great fun too about driving this Sprite is that it just reminds me of all the vintage race cars I used to own and drive. They were all under 1 liter cars, and it's just so much fun to really drive a car like this that is so responsive. You just touch the wheel and it moves, and you can just sort of play with it and it dances around, and it's just such an incredible pleasure. You get such a great thrill and such satisfaction out of controlling a car like this that just becomes a part of you. There's nothing more exciting as far as I'm concerned in driving a race car in a class like this. This is a true roadster. The top is a vestigial one. There are no side windows, just side curtains, no door handles, and no trunk lid. The trunk lid part was for structural rigidity. Putting an opening panel in the back of a car this small would have meant a bit of flexing in the body. This is also a fairly revolutionary little car in that it's not a full monocoque, but it does have a unit body from the doors and cowl back to the rear of the car. It gives this car amazing torsional stiffness that you wouldn't expect in a very small, very lightweight car. And it's also quite practical because you actually get more luggage space by utilizing the space behind the seats that is totally open than you might have if you had hinges in a boot lid. Now, anyone that's tried to fit an actual suitcase in the back might disagree with me, but nonetheless, for a weekend tour or a fun dash-about car, a car like this can't be beat. Hi, it's Donald with this week's Audrain Auto Museum Fun Fast Fact Quiz question. The Austin Healey Sprite could be a fun and capable club racer, but did it ever see racing in the big leagues? If you think you know the answer, please post it in the comments below. You'll find out our response at our next video posting. Thanks! If you like these videos, let your friends know. Subscribe, comment, share.